Geltrude, CPA and market analyst, joining us here on Live Now from Fox to break this down for you. Thank you so much for taking the time this morning.
Good morning.
I want to start with the basics. Why are taxpayers in some states seeing delays in their refunds this year? Talked about it a little bit before I brought you in here, but can you expand for us?
Sure. So there was a major change this year that related to the One Big Beautiful Bill. So those changes that were enacted on July 4th, it takes time for the IRS and the states to be able to put those changes into their tax software. Plus, all the tax preparers have to do the same thing. So it was really technical delays that are causing now taxpayers to have to wait a little bit longer for those refunds. And nobody likes that, obviously.
Right. And I just want to dive a little bit further into that because you touched on, how much of this delay is tied to these new federal tax law changes. But when it comes to the need for the IRS and states to update their systems, what does that process really look like?
Well, we know that it generally takes the government a little bit longer than it takes private industry to update things. We hear about these things all the time. So there are shortages of let's say, manpower at the IRS. So, of course, that is causing delays. And just generally speaking, the federal government and as well as state governments just take longer to get things done. So that's why taxpayers may feel some pain this year in having to wait for those refunds.
And Dan, we are hearing refunds could actually be larger this year. So what's the biggest driver there? Does that have to do with the One Big Beautiful Bill?
Yeah, it absolutely does. There was a lot of talk out there about no tax on overtime and Social Security and tips. I just want to clarify, it's not exactly no tax. There is less tax. So those are three big items which are causing changes in a good way that are going to mean Americans are going to be getting larger refunds. Now, I just want to remind everybody, yes, we'd rather get a refund than have to pay. But keep in mind, that's your money. So you want to do everything you possibly can to file as quickly as possible, to e-file, to have your refund direct deposited into your account. That's the quickest way to get your refund. And for the federal government, that should be about 21 days. If you paper file, it's about a 4 to 6 week wait for your refund.
And that's what I was going to ask. How long should people wait? Now, does that differ by state? Are we seeing it take longer in certain states?
Yeah, now each state obviously operates independently, so it really depends upon the state that you're due a refund from. But generally speaking, the states do take longer than the IRS to put those refunds in. And I also just want to add one other thing. One of the big delays in getting your refund is when you have information on your tax return, such as your Social Security number, that does not match what the IRS has. So you want to make sure specifically that your Social Security numbers line up and those 1099s are all in agreement.
Another question I have for you, are there certain states, we talked about the states, but certain types of taxpayers, I'd rather say, who may be more likely to experience delays? If you're in different tax brackets, is this going to affect one more than the other?
Well, what I've actually seen is specifically related to the states is when a taxpayer is due a significant refund. You have situations, I've seen it specifically with the state of New Jersey, where they have held that refund in order to not audit it, but investigate it a little further to make sure when there's a large refund that it's actually accurate.
Okay, so then for people who may be concerned, though, maybe they still have not gotten a refund, what should they do? Who should they reach out to?
Well, as it pertains to the IRS, you can go to the IRS's website and take a look at your refund status. But generally speaking, specifically with the states, shall we say, it is a waiting game. It will come, but sometimes it just takes a little bit longer for various reasons.
I think something we also should talk about here is scams, right? For people who may be wanting to track their refund, is there anything people should be on the lookout for when it comes to potential scams?
Well, first of all, the IRS does not call you, does not text you, does not email you. So anytime you get correspondence that way that says it's from the IRS or from any taxing agency for that matter, it is likely a scam. When you hear from a taxing agency like the IRS, you will get a letter the old fashioned way, U.S. Postal Service. So if you don't get a letter, my advice, ignore it.
Good advice there. Okay, my last question for you, Dan. Do you expect these delays to be a one-year adjustment while these agencies update their systems like we've talked about, or is this going to be the new normal for tax season?
Well, based upon what we know right now, if there's not going to be any significant changes to the tax law, and it doesn't seem that way right now, next year, meaning tax season 2027, we should be able to go back to normal, where if you're filing electronically and there's no reason for a delay, less than 21 days, no more than 21 days to get your refund.
Anything else you want to add about this? Anything you think I missed that the viewers at home watching should know?
Well, I think you've really covered everything. Look, if you know that you're going to owe tax, well, then file your return on April 15th. But if you have that refund coming, make sure you get that in as quickly as you can. Common sense.
All right, Dan Geltrude, thank you so much for joining us on Live Now from Fox. We appreciate it.
Thank you.